Oh, let's go. Oh, you're getting a lot of feedback there from your. Oh, that's 100% mine.
I was gonna say, what is going on here?
Welcome to the Prime Sports World. I'm David On Point Huffman. Welcome into the show. That's Israel Vera, CEO of Prime Sports World. On today's episode of the Prime, we're going to be breaking down the Dallas Cowboys in their season preview. Please like, share, and subscribe, as we have done all but 9 teams in the NFL. We got the Philadelphia Eagles, and then we got the AFC West and the NFC West to wrap up the season previews for us here at Prime Sports World. You don't want to miss any of that content. And let's not waste any time. Let's just get right into the Dallas Cowboys. And the most important part of the Dallas Cowboys when it comes to them is Dak Prescott. Led the NFL in interceptions last season with actually only, I think 15 interceptions, which still was good enough to lead the NFL in picks last season. But he managed to do that in only 12 games. 23 touchdowns, 2,800 yards, 15 picks. What are your expectations of Dak Prescott as he has seemingly taken a step back? I know injuries have kind of hampered his production a little bit, but everybody thought he'd take a big step forward with Mike McCarthy, with that offense. And Kellen Moore is the offensive guru. We haven't really seen it out of the Dallas Cowboys, at least thus far.
Man, you know what? My expectations for Dak are, it's going to be a little bit more of the same, right? I mean, he wears that number 4 for a reason, huh? who else was number 4 and threw a lot of interceptions, right?
Yeah,
they had a lot of
Curly.
and guess who's his idol? Number 4, Brett Favre, right? So he's a little like Brett Favre in that way, where he takes a lot of risk on that football. We seen some of the issues in training camp this year, right? He threw 2 interceptions the other day to Trayvon Diggs. He threw another one to Trayvon Diggs, where Trayvon Diggs actually rubbed it in his face a little bit. So I don't know. I think that Dak they're going to be a high scoring. They're going to be a high flying offense. I think it'll be top 5 offense, in the top 7.
I'm not so sure they will be a top 5 offense.
You don't think so?
I don't know. They weren't. I'm pretty sure they weren't last year. And I don't necessarily think with how good their defense is, they need to be a top 5 offense. But I mean, losing Ezekiel Elliott, people want to downplay that loss, but that guy scored a lot of touchdowns for this team. Mm-hmm. My expectations for Dak Prescott, I think he's still going to be a productive quarterback in the National Football League. I think you're going to take a lot of the good with the bad. The Cowboys are kind of stuck with him at this point, anyways. Yeah, they weren't a top 5 unit last year. They were barely they were a fringe top 10 unit most recent season. But that also includes a few games with Cooper Rush as their starting quarterback. Take that as what you will.
Yeah.
I think adding Brandon Cooks, a speedy guy on the outside, Michael Gallup, question marks at tight end right now. I think he's going to put up similar numbers. I think he's going to throw frustrating picks. I think that's kind of been the MO of Dak Prescott kind of since he's been a Dallas Cowboy. Outside of that breakout season he had in year 1 and his first 3 seasons, I mean, he's thrown frustrating interceptions.
Well, he was having a breakout. Remember the breakout year before he broke his ankle, right? He was on another worldly level. I think that aspect.
Let me welcome TJ into the show. Go ahead, Izzy.
I think that aspect of Dak, not being a runner, and him that injury kind of forcing him to be kind of more of a pocket passer, which Dak isn't 100% a pocket passer. That's what he didn't come into the NFL as. The legs were certainly an aspect of his game. So, you can also contribute that to the interception and the turnovers as well.
I mean, but he was never really a big rusher as it was. I mean, we're talking about the most yards he ever rushed for a season was 357 in year 2. I mean, he has never really been a big rushing quarterback. He's always kind of been more of a pocket passer, maybe a guy who extends the pocket a little bit, but he's never really been a guy who's going to take off and run on you.
Yeah, but I mean, before he broke that ankle, though, they were doing a lot of running plays for him.
I mean, he had 1,800 yards. He had 1,800 yards before he broke that ankle in year 2020, which was number 1 in the league. And also, I think it was number 1 in the league for a long time, even after he got injured. That's how much better he was playing than everybody else in the NFL.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that Dak Prescott sometimes is going to throw some frustrating interceptions, but I expect him to be a pretty good borderline Pro Bowl type quarterback this season. Mm-hmm. Did you welcome to the show? Let's get your input on Dak Prescott.
you get paid $40 million, you gotta play like you worth $40 million.
Right.
Okay. Moving on from that. Yeah, we can hear you. You're just kind of low.
Y'all got me?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
heard you. We heard you.
Okay, when you get paid, so when you get paid $40 million, you gotta play like you worth $40 million.
I hear that. Amen to
It
that.
is what it is with Dak. I think people gotta. I don't know why they do, but folks gotta lower their expectations when it comes to Dak. Like he is what he is at this point of his career. Like he's not gonna be the 30 touchdown, 5 interception guy over the course of a season. He's not gonna be that. No matter how much they want him to be, it says I don't know if he was trying to force everything, but like when you lead the league in interceptions after missing what 5 6 games and you still lead the league in interceptions, that's a bad look. It's a terrible look.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
I mean, but
like,
what are we talking about here? We're talking about
but
15 picks. I mean that doesn't lead most seasons. That doesn't lead the NFL in interceptions. It just
It's not
doesn't.
like 25 picks, like most
It's like 30 for 30 that
we
Jameis
talking
Winston had to.
right, but we talking 15 interceptions after you missed basically a month of the season, bro. Like you missed 5 games, and you still were one of the top interception throwers in the league. Like, bro, like you played 12 games and you had 15 picks in 12 games. That's not efficient. That's
No,
bad.
it's more than a pick a game. It's not what you want out of a guy who's supposed to be your franchise quarterback. Also threw an interception in the playoffs as well. Let's talk about the defense there for a second. Moving away from Dak Prescott, is this potentially the best defense in the NFL next season? Adding Stephon Gilmore to which already was a loaded defense. You expect Micah Parsons take another step forward. DeMarcus Lawrence, Jonathan Hankins. Lane Vander Esch resigned. Stephon Gilmore is now here. Trayvon Diggs is still here. Maybe some questions at safety, but I mean, this defense is as good as it gets in the NFL. Is this the best defense in the NFL?
They gonna say they are, as they're supposed to say that. I don't know, but I know individuals. Excuse me. I know certain individuals have to be looked at in a different light. Like,
They definitely say they are. Trust me. Trust me.
I mean, as they're supposed to. I mean, you think
right,
they're.
they're supposed to. You're
I mean, they're supposed to
to.
think they're the best defense in the NFL. Like
Right.
every team should want to think they're going to go to the Super Bowl when the season starts. Is every team going to go to the Super Bowl? No.
No,
Is every team going to have the best defense in the NFL? No.
no.
I think Dallas has a legitimate argument that they have probably the
But
best top to bottom defense at every level in the NFL. I mean, Jabril Cox is also a really good football player. I mean, safety is the only place, and they just signed Malik Hooker. At least last offseason, he's a good football player too. A really guy who if he could stay healthy, he might be the best safety, one of the top 10 safeties in the NFL.
But if Michael Parsons wants to say I'm the best defensive player not named Aaron Donald, you have to take him seriously. It's not like that's just him spewing stuff. Like no, like that's a legit talking point.
Yeah, I mean, he's coming up with 13 sacks in back-to-back seasons. The ceiling is really the limit for him when it comes to Micah Parsons.
All jokes aside, this defense should be very talented. And then, the two rookies that they added, I know we'll get to it. The two rookies that they added are probably going to be contributors, especially Mozzie Smith in the middle. So, I do think that this defense can be a top 5 defense in the league. But like I said, hey, you gotta go out there and show me, right? You gotta go out there and show me that you're gonna be a top 5 defense. So yeah, and Stephon Gilmore is big for them. He's probably the number one corner when it comes to when it comes to man coverage, and then you got the number one corner when it comes to zone coverage and Trayvon Diggs as well. So, I was just having this argument with Cowboys fans the other day, right, about Jair Alexander and Trayvon Diggs. Jair's the best in single coverage. and Trayvon Diggs is the best in zone coverage, last year, right? Uh, so according to PFF, so what that take that as it is, right? You got two guys that can lock guys down, right? And Trayvon just had, led the league in interceptions 2 years ago, dropped down a little bit last year. Wants to kind of remove that tag as a gambler, but I mean his track record against number one wide receivers is pretty damn good. So, yeah, and then you add that with Michael Parsons, you already know what he's bringing to the table. So I think this defense can be very, very talented, up there with San Francisco and Philly. They don't think Philly's a threat, supposedly. So some Cowboys
Yeah,
fans don't think he's a threat.
I think this is for sure a top five defense. We'll end up seeing if they end up becoming the best defense in the NFL. Let's swing from the defense. Let's talk about Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy on the hot seat, yes or no?
Yes.
He should be, but Jerry, you know what it takes for Jerry to fire his yes man. You know how long it takes him to fire. Hey, it is like, and that's the issue. Especially like he's even on the hot seat more now because he's the one that's going to be calling plays. So if the offense struggles, that's on him now. Like you scapegoated Kellen Moore, he's gone. So you're calling the plays now. So if you go out there and the offense looks stagnant, or Dak struggles, or the run game ain't what it's supposed to be, it's a reflection of you.
Not to mention you had two, pretty bad playoff exits the last two seasons, where your team underperformed in big moments. You're brought in to take this Cowboys team to the next level. You brought in to take them potentially to the promised land, to the Super Bowl. Anything less than that has got to be considered a disappointment. When you bring in a guy who has that kind of pedigree, and Mike McCarthy, yeah, he's on the hot seat. There's no other way if hands are rough about it. If this team doesn't reach expectations, like we're talking about the NFC Championship game this year, yeah, I think Mike McCarthy will get his walking papers. Period.
Absolutely, and as he should. You guys know how I feel.
Moving on from their storylines, let's just talk about their draft. Obviously, they took Mozzie Smith, defensive tackle out of Michigan, with the first pick. Luke Schoonmaker, defensive end, tight end out of Michigan. They took a linebacker out of Texas, Demarvian Overshown. I'm not sure how to pronounce that name, that edge out of San Jose State. Eric Scott Jr., cornerback out of Southern Miss. Deuces Vaughn, running back out of Kansas State. And Jalen Brooks, wide receiver out of South Carolina. Going to the Dallas Cowboys in the 7th round. Was it Vamili Fuuki? Fehoko. Thank you, Fehoko. From San Jose State. He's an edge.
Man, you know what? Luke Schoonmaker is going to be a hell of a pick for them. I know they're adding him. They are bringing back Jake Ferguson as well, from last year, as Bobby Schultz's cousin. Dalton Schultz, because he's in Texas now. So you gotta have to replace that production. They already
not to mention replace that security blanket that Dak Prescott's had for the last 5 years since he's been the starting quarterback there.
Schoonmaker's a better blocker than Bobby Schultz. I mean, than Dalton Schultz.
I'm sure it's. I'm sure of it too.
Luke Schoonmaker, they said he's a better blocker. He's a good red zone guy. I see a lot of him at Michigan. Mozzie Smith, Big Mozzie's probably the strongest player, maybe possibly in the NFL draft. I mean, this is a guy that, like, literally just a couple weeks ago, a reporter asked him, what do you think about the game? He said, man, I don't even like football. I just like to hit people. When the guy just says that, he's a dangerous man. And a guy like DeMarvion Overshown, I mean, we've seen him against Texas, right? The game against Texas, TJ, he was sideline to sideline all over the place, giving that whole offense some fits. He's going to be a hell of a pick for the Dallas Cowboys. And then, Deuce Vaughn, great moment. His dad is a scout for the team, and that was a great moment in the NFL draft. And calling on his son that you're going to get picked. I mean, I wish if I could do that with my son, that would be everything to me. But I think that's a once in a lifetime thing for a father to do. So that was a hell of a moment.
I think there is some serious concern about his size in the next level.
He's 5'6", $170 with a soaking wet with a rocket. But I think he's gonna be a guy that he's a little scat back, man. He's a little strong little sucker, man. If you watch college football, the college football show with me and TJ, me and Christian, I raved about him all season long. He's strong, man, at 170. Now his little body against the NFL and all those hits, he's not gonna be relied on to get all those hits to get all those carries.
The
But he's
dude,
a guy that
the dude ran for nearly 2,000 yards and had 43 touchdowns last season.
yeah, he's a monster. He's a little.
And
Hey, what did Stacey King used to say about Dave Robinson? Big things come in small packages, baby. I like this draft though. I give it like a B plus here because they covered some things that they really needed this season that they missed out.
And Eric Scott, the cornerback out of Southern Miss, 6'1", 204. He's just a really good depth pick. Good backup Stephon Gilmore there. Not really expecting him to play a whole lot. The offensive lineman out of North Carolina. Yeah, not a lot to talk about him. He's going to be all. He can play all over the place. He can play tackle or guard. He played mostly left tackle at North Carolina.
Didn't watch a lot of that kid from San Jose State. I didn't stay up and
so in his career, he had 47 tackles for loss, 23 sacks, 11 pass deflection, 5 forced fumbles over the course of his college career at San Jose State. 6'3", 276 pounds. Can move inside if he needs to. He has versatility. Play all over the offensive and defensive line.
What offense? Jalen Brooks is a receiver. You said North Carolina. What offensive line are you talking about?
I was talking about. Sorry, Asheem Richards. Sorry. Jalen
listed, but it's cool.
He's for sure one of their picks. I guess Pro Football Network has this wrong. So I don't know.
What's this? Oh, Asim Richards.
Yeah,
he's the backup left guard. Okay. Yeah. Obviously, I think the head scratching one was Mozzie Smith out of the first round pick because it was like this guy at that spot. Like it was definitely head scratching. On looking at the depth chart, he's listed behind Jonathan Hankins. So. I guess that position's up for grabs. Do with that info what you will. Luke Shoemaker.
Hey TJ, instead of Mozzie Smith, what do you think they should have went after that first round? You think they should have went after offensive line just because they had them offensive line problems last year?
I mean, there was no one really to take there at 26 unless you're going to reach for the kid from Oklahoma. I mean, I mean, there was the edge, but you don't really need an edge. I mean, I could have definitely used offensive lineman help, but I mean, Quentin Johnson was still there on the board. I know they eventually traded for, Brandon Cooks, but I think they could have just taken a wide receiver and not had to trip up future draft capital to get Brandon Cooks.
I would have done. I probably would have looked at O-line a little deeper. I probably would have looked at linebacker because Van Der Esch is nice and all, but
I mean, he gets banged up every season. You're never really sure if he's going to even be able to continue his NFL career.
That sounds like the injury. Yeah, that's right. The injuries after a while they take its toll, and it's just like we know two things for sure. Like Tyron Smith is gonna get hurt, and I hate to say it like that. And Van Der Esch is gonna get hurt. Like Tyron Smith, when it's all said and done, he's gonna be in Canton. He's a Hall of Famer, but that Hall of Famer only does you Hall of Fame things when he's on the field.
I mean, they needed a safety. The kid from Alabama was still on the board as the Lions took him later for Brian Branch, and they could use a safety. I mean, they didn't. Like Mozzie Smith might end up becoming one of the better players in this draft, but he didn't address a need for the Dallas Cowboys. Like he may or may not get playing time.
Not to mention what Zach Martin. They got a little holdout situation, right, with Zach Martin.
Yeah, true.
Right now, so.
Yeah, I think their draft is a solid B. I can't go any higher than that, given the Maisie Smith. I mean, I would have taken Michael Mayer too as well. I still think he's the best tight end in the NFL in this draft, or was. Instead of settling for their third or fourth guy maybe on their board in the second round.
You said it.
From there, let's talk about roster shakeup. Obviously, they traded for Stephon Gilmore. They traded for Brandon Cooks. They got Luke Gifford. Their major departures, Connor McGovern played center/guard for them last season. Bobby Schultz's cousin, Dalton Schultz, tight end. Carlos Watkins, Jason Peters, Ezekiel Elliott. Peters and Ezekiel Elliott still unsigned to this day. So there is a small chance that one of them, they could potentially come back. They also lost Anthony Barr, who was a versatile offensive linebacker, obviously on the tail end of his career at this point.
Yep.
Luke Gifford is a linebacker. He left to go. He should have won one of the departures actually. But
I'm just looking at Stephon Gilmore and Brandon Cooks. Like I talked about Stephon Gilmore a little bit earlier. Let's talk about Brandon Cooks. He's a given. I mean, look what he did in Houston. The 1,000 yards. He's a given to get 1,000 in a way. He's a given to get 1,000 yards. That's the kind of production. He's a speedster. We already know what he brings to the table. Now, he's gonna make things a lot easier for CD Lamb, for Michael Gallup, and company. So I love that pickup. And then adding Stephon Gilmore, like I said, man, next to Trayvon Diggs is big time, because the Stephon Gilmore is probably one of the best man coverage corners in the NFL, even at this age. So, and I do think Ezekiel Elliott will get brought back at some point, just because they're going to realize that they don't have much depth at running back. With Tony Pollard kind of coming back, they're going to realize that Deuce Vaughn, maybe not that guy to carry the load. That second running back
I
for
mean,
for the Dallas
they did sign
Cowboys.
Ronald Jones, who's currently suspended. I don't remember what
Yeah,
the
Rojo's
link
nice too.
what the link of that suspension is. But yeah, when you look at the players that they lost when it comes to Dallas Cowboys, outside of Connor McGovern and I guess kind of Bobby Schultz's cousin Dalton Schultz, I'm not all that concerned about the other guys. I mean, Jason Peters was a really nice fill-in guy who played tackle for them whenever. He seems to be the guy that whenever you need a tackle, you dust off Jason Peters, no matter what team you are or what's going on. You just dust him off and let him play. Ezekiel Elliott, yeah, that's a big loss. I mean, they basically, but they ran him in the ground. They decided, hey, we're gonna go with the younger guy that we can run into the ground, run him in the ground instead.
And they scapegoated him.
Yeah, it's true. And they blamed Ezekiel Elliott for the reason that they weren't able to get over the hump is because Ezekiel Elliott was getting paid too much. Well, he's not on the roster anymore, so he's not getting paid too much. Figure it out now. I love the Stephon Gilmore and Brandon Cooks acquisition. I think it carries this free agency / roster shakeup. This is a solid B for me as well for Dallas. TJ.
Obviously, I mean, I wish they would have done more in free agency. I mean, obviously, they probably still can. But you already know my theory. When you losing the guys you lost, you have to replace at least half of that, and you didn't. So Stephon Gilmore, Brandon Cooks, and the issue that they have is they think those two dudes plus what they have right now that's enough to get them over the top. And one of the things that makes the Eagles so dangerous and the 49ers so dangerous is not just their not just the guys they have at their skill positions, but the depth they have at those skill positions. And they don't have enough. You scapegoat Zeke, you scapegoat Connor McGovern. Say what you want about Dalton Schultz, you didn't pay him, you tagged him and then said, all right, we're done with you. Now you relying on Jake Ferguson and Peyton Henderson.
Dalton Schultz was an extremely productive player for this Dallas guy. He was probably their most consistent pass catcher on the team the last 5 years.
Absolutely. Jason Peters is 40, so
I bet you any money he will end up on an NFL roster this season before it's all said and done.
I mean, probably. I wouldn't put it past him.
I remember when he was when he came to the Bears, he was fishing when off the side of he was fishing when he got the call about hey, we need you to come and play. So, but yeah, I think they did a solid job. I think this is really carried by the skill of Stephon Gilmore and Brandon Cooks and what this could mean for this roster. The players that they lost, yeah, kind of hurt. Moving on today, let's talk about that schedule. Let's break down what do you think their record's going to be. Let's start with week number 1. They go to East Rutherford, New Jersey, take on the New York Football Giants.
I'm gonna go with a.
How did we do this?
I said that they took an L last night, so I'm gonna go with a first week loss against the New York Giants on the road.
What did I say when they played the Giants? When we
You
beat
said
the
they were
Giants?
sweeping them.
Did I say that? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
David said that too, didn't you?
Yeah.
I saw that. I'm sticking to it. I'm not backing down. Yeah, they're sweeping the New York Giants. They get a victory here.
And then they
They
get
taking
an
the L,
L.
baby.
And then after that, they go to the East front. The New York Jets and the New York Jets go into Jerry World and take on the Dallas Cowboys. I actually think that the Dallas Cowboys take an L here. Aaron Rodgers seems to be the kryptonite for the Dallas Cowboys. I think that continues here as he beats Dallas and they fall to 1-1.
Yeah, yeah. Aaron Rodgers is definitely a part time
Owner.
stakeholder in the New York and the Dallas Cowboys. That's a L for the Dallas Cowboys, in my opinion.
TJ taking the Jets too.
Yeah, that's an L. Who? Then they get back in the
Moving on from there, they got 4 games before their bye. 3 of them are on the road. First, they got to go to Arizona. New England comes there. They go to San Fran. And they go to the Chargers. How do you see those 4 games shaking out? Izzy?
I actually see them winning 3 out of 4. I see them beating Arizona. I see them beating New England. And I see them beating LA in LA. I don't see them beating San Fran. I don't think that they're uh, I'm gonna say it's gonna be a narrow loss. It's gonna be closer than last year, but yeah, I think it all depends on the health of the running backs. I mean, we all seen that last year when Tony Pollard went out. The dynamic, aspect of that offense kind of went away. So I got them taking an L in San Francisco. So right now they're 3-3 in my book.
I think it's a complete given. We don't even have to really even have this conversation about the game in Arizona. They win that game, period. But I think they beat New England because I just don't trust New England offensively and whatever's been going on with the Patriots this offseason. And then when it comes to the other 2 games, both those games on the road in California, back-to-back weeks, I actually think they lose them both. I think they go to San Francisco and they lose. And I think they go to the SoFi Stadium there in Los Angeles and they lose to the Chargers too. I have them falling to 3-3 before their bye week. TJ.
Yeah. They what you call it? They split these 4. They beat Arizona, they beat New England, and they lose to San Fran, and they lose to the Chargers.
Yep, couldn't agree more. After that, their bye week, they go. The other team from Los Angeles comes to Jerry World, and they take on the Los Angeles Rams. Let's assume that they're fully healthy at this point of the season. TJ, how do you think this team shakes out?
They beat the Rams. I just don't think I don't think the Rams have enough.
Izzy?
Yeah, the Rams is falling off the wagon since falling from grace since their Super Bowl run a couple years ago. So give me the Dallas Cowboys to win that game.
I agree with you. I don't know what the Los Angeles Rams are going to be. They've depleted their roster so much by not having draft picks the last 3 seasons. It's hard to build talent when you don't have picks in the first couple of rounds. And then from there, they have back-to-back games against the NFC East. First, they go to Philadelphia into the Link, and then the Giants come into Jerry World. I think they're going to split that series. I think they get swept by the Philadelphia Eagles. I think they're just the best team in the NFC by far. And I think they beat the Giants in Jerry World.
I agree with you. I think they split with the Giants. That's the way I had it. And then they lose to Philly on the road. So right now they're 5-4 in my book.
I have them 5-4 as well. TJ.
They lose to Philly. Like I said, they sweeping the Giants. They demolished the Carolina Panthers.
I agree with you. I think they go to Carolina. I think they get an easy victory. Then the 6-4. Another team that in the NFC East, I think they sweep as well as the Washington Commanders. I think they no matter where that game is against the Washington Commanders, I think they beat them. So I have them moving to 7-4 before they get into a little bit of a difficult stretch there, where they have 4 games that could potentially decide their season. First, Seattle, Philadelphia both come into Jerry World, and then they go to Buffalo and they go to Miami. How do you see these 4 games shaking out for the Dallas Cowboys?
I think they beat Seattle. Man, I don't. Man, Philly. The Philly game's tough for me to judge, but you know what? I'm actually gonna go with Philly beating them. I'm actually going with Philly sweeping them this year. And then going to Buffalo. That's an L. And then I think they beat Miami in Miami. So right now I got them at what 9-7. Yeah, 9-7 or 9-6, 9-6.
So it's got to be, yeah. So it's I agree with you on the. I think they do beat Seattle. I think they get swept by Philadelphia. I think playing in Orchard Park going up against the Buffalo Bills with that crowd noise is tough for anyone to play in, especially the Dallas Cowboys. I think the Buffalo Bills win that game, get a real revenge for that Super Bowl loss. Even though this is just a regular season game. And then I think that you go to South Beach, and I actually think they take the win there. I agree with you, Izzy. I think they beat the Miami Dolphins. I just think that the defense is going to be so good. I think they'll limit what they're able to do on offense for the Miami Dolphins. I got them at 8-6 at this point of the season. Or it might be 9-6, actually.
Yeah, it was 9-6.
9-6. TJ.
They lose to Seattle. They lose to Philly. Oh, damn, they might lose 4 in a row. Seattle, Philly, Buffalo, and Miami.
Ooh. That is rough.
It's very well possible.
I can see a scenario. I can see a scenario where they lose to the Miami Dolphins. I just can't see a scenario where they lose to Seattle. I just think Seattle is potentially going to come back down to earth this year. And we'll get into them, when we get to the NFC West next week.
We'll see.
Yeah.
And then the final 2 games of the season. First, Detroit Lions come into Jerry World, and then they go to Washington into Landover, Maryland, take on the Washington Commanders. How do you see these 2 games shaking out?
I think they win these last 2 games. I think they end the season on a 3-game winning streak. Beat Miami. They come back home. They beat Detroit at home, and then in a close one, I may add. And then they, like I said, they sweep the Washington Commanders to go 11-6 on the season.
11-6. What, another wild card spot?
Yeah. I don't necessarily think that. I don't think that'll be good enough to be better than the Philadelphia Eagles. But I also have them at 11-6 with the wrapping up the season.
Did I have the Giants yesterday? Did I have the Giants at 10 wins?
You had the Giants at 11-6 too.
Oh my God! I might be wrong on that too.
You won't be wrong on that. Did you tell Christian how high you are on the Giants? Did you tell him?
No, I didn't tell him. I hope he watched the show, but I think the Giants might be a 10-win team, and the Dallas Cowboys might be an 11-win team. But I think that's where the Dallas Cowboys ceiling is, 11-12 wins.
I agree with you on the Dallas Cowboys, 11-12 wins. I think they're better than the Giants, which is why they have a lot better record than the Dallas Cowboys. But yeah, I got them finishing the season 11-6. TJ, what do you with that 4-game losing streak? You got the Dallas Cowboys on there. What's the final?
It could. I said it could happen. I ain't saying it couldn't happen. Oh, shit! For their sake, it better not happen. If they lose 4 in a row, bro.
Jerry Jones might fire Mike Edwards, Herm Edwards style after that Buffalo game. If they lose 4 in a row.
If they lose 4 in a row, he in Miami, Jerry Jones just stay here in South Beach and take care of the family. We'll take care of everything when you get back.
Yeah, they might fire everybody if they lose 4 in a row. No, realistically, 11 or 12 wins, that should be this team's goal. I don't know where the 12 wins are going to come from because it's a crapshoot. Anything can happen. 11-6, 12-5, that should be the goal. But to David's point, that's not going to be enough to top Philly.
Yeah.
And if anything, you want to tie with Philly. You're praying for what you got last year with a season split between the 2 of them. You hope Dak is able to play the whole 17 because ain't no telling what would have happened if Dak would have played the whole you did.
Yep.
I just also want to point out that because I missed the first few minutes. Nobody out there was gonna make Cooper Rush their starting quarterback. Stop trying to make a fake quarterback controversy in Dallas. It's not happening.
Right.
Yeah, Dak Prescott is the quarterback of this team. I mean, he chased away. Tony Romo got chased away because of how good he was. He's not going to get replaced. That's not going to be a thing.
It's just not. They want it to be a thing, but it's not going to be a thing. And Like it's the Skip Baylesses of the world and folks that think like him. Like, oh, Cooper Rush can take this. Like, no, he can't because
It's cute. It's cute and all what he did last year, but no, he can't do that.
I mean, they won games in spite of him last season. Like he literally threw like one touchdown per game. Like he wouldn't have taken them anywhere. They wouldn't have made the playoffs. He'd have been continued to be the starting quarterback of this team for the entire season. Period.
Right.
That's legit what I want them to understand. And if I'm Dak Prescott, and if because like he a company man right now, so like he can't act. He got to act a certain way. And Izzy know what I mean when I say he a company man. But if Dak really wanted to, he legit could be like, all right, you think the grass is greener with him? Oh man, my ankle ankle that I broke is certainly giving me the flux. I think I'm gonna miss some time.
But yeah, that's been our Dallas Cowboys season preview. Let you know in the comment section what do you think their season is going to be like this season. All three of us have them as potential playoff teams, which could be fighting for the division. Tomorrow on the Prime, you're going to be catching College Football Showdown, hosted by my guy, Mr. Israel Rivera. You don't want to miss that content. He doesn't have a time yet for that show, but it will air tomorrow night. So keep an eye on that. College football gets ready to start up as well. Him and Christian holding down the fort. As next week we continue with the Philadelphia Eagles on Monday, and we go swinging right into the NFC West from there as we try to get through all of the NFL teams before this kickoff of the NFL season. I'm David Huppin, Israel Vera, TJ Hopkins. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. And gentlemen, what do we do here at the Prime, my friends?
Bring the heat, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, sirs. And we'll be back here. You guys all have a good weekend. Stay safe out there.